Hey, welcome back to Diary of a New Producer. This is the weekly series where we are giving you a look behind the curtain into a real life producer who's now been here about 7 months. The pros, the cons, the struggles, everything he is going through. His name is, we're calling him Ian Cognito, but he is real. My name is Micah. I am your host, and I apologize for my voice this week. Allergies have got me kind of laid up a little bit. But in this week's episode, what we're going to cover is three different things that Ian and I talked about this week. The first thing is, what do you do when you just can't get a prospect to move? Second thing we're going to cover is, should you step outside your niche or not, and how to determine that on a certain deal. And the last thing that we want to chat about this week is, when is the best time to pick up an AOR, agent of record letter? All right, without further ado, let's get into this. If you're a first-time watcher of this video or series, thanks for joining us. If you're back for your second, third, fourth, or fifth or more times, thanks again for coming back. And don't forget to give us a thumbs up and comment below on your thoughts so we can hear what you think on our stuff. But all right, so Ian and I talked about, like I said, the first thing was, he has a deal that he's working on where he talked to this guy for an hour, literally. And the guy starts kind of complaining about his cost of his auto, but then kind of kept going back to like, well, I don't really have time, or I don't want to do anything. And so he's like, what can I do to convince him to move forward? And ultimately what I said is, well, the first thing is, if you're having good conversations, try to get the documents in hand, because that kind of gets that ball rolling and gives you something tangible to come back with. So right now, Ian's had good conversations with his prospect. The most recent one, like I said, being an hour long, but it's not really going anywhere. But he can tell from these conversations that there's some pain there. And so then he's just confused. He's like, well, why isn't he just taking the next step? So I just said, hey, keep in touch with him, but you need to, if you can, try to get policies, because what that's going to do is just move the ball forward a little bit more. But now it also gives you something more tangible to look at. The guy can sit there and complain about his auto premiums all day long, or his GL insurance or equipment rates. But if you don't have anything tangible, you don't know. Maybe he's actually getting a good deal, right? So, and what I also told him, though, I said, is there's only so much, selling you can really do. There's only so much twisting of someone's arm you can really do. I've said this before, but your biggest competition is complacency. And you got to play the long game, right? This is why you need a big top of funnel, because a lot of prospects that you talk to are going to fall in this guy's boat, where he's just like, yeah, he's got some pain. He'll sit and chat with you maybe, but he's just not ready to make a move. Now, it doesn't mean you just completely disregard him or call him a tire kicker at this point. But you kind of just in your mind, okay, I'm going to keep in touch with this guy. I'm going to stay organized, use my CRM, and put on my hot list. I'm just going to keep following up with him like he said to, right? Follow up in June, apparently, was what Ian told me this guy said to do. So just keep doing that, play the long game. And the key is, if you add enough in your top of funnel, you're not going to be so stressed about these one or two deals that are kind of sitting there in neutral. Okay. But ultimately, you can't convince, a buyer of insurance to do stuff that they don't want to do. You can't get someone to convert to your way of seeing things if they're hell bent on quoting and you want them to go AOR. You can't convince someone that they need to do due diligence when they just don't think they want to do it or don't have the time. So there comes a point where you don't give up, but you essentially just put them on the back burner and follow up with them. All right. Okay. Second thing that I want to get into is the niche market, right? As you know, on this channel, we're fans of niching. I don't necessarily think you need to micro niche down into, something, like I said, micro niched, but it is good to have a general category like construction or manufacturing, healthcare, whatever that you feel very comfortable with and want to go all in on. I'm not going to get into the reasons why, but Ian and I, the reason this is coming up is because Ian had a fuel hauler. He was like, man, I've had a couple of conversations. Should I go after this? And I just said, what I would do first is talk to our marketing team and see, do we even have markets that make sense for this niche? Secondly, do we have anyone in the office? Do we run any accounts like this as an agency? Do you know anyone in the office who does? Reach out to the producers, because the last thing you want to do is waste your time and your prospects' time. If you're competing against an agent who has got all the main markets or just knows that space really well, or maybe a direct writer who does, and like there's no hope. So before you invest a ton of time going after some micro niche or something outside of your comfort zone, do your own due diligence, right? And ask yourself, is this a good time investment? This kind of brings up one other thought I've been having lately as you're making prospecting calls or even just building out a prospecting list. And that is, before you cold call someone, ask yourself a couple of questions. And it's like, do I even want to write this account? Is it worth my time? Do I think it's big enough? Do I even, if I got my foot in the door and had a meeting, do I have any expertise there, something different to bring to the table that would make this person want to hire me? Right? Those are things that you should be asking yourself before you even make a cold call on a prospect. And I think it goes hand in hand with this micro niche, situation. Now, if you're referred into a place, that's a little bit different, but we're talking about cold outbound here. So, and then the last point I want to end in this week, which is actually something we talked about last week, but I didn't do a series last week. Apologize for that. Is when do you pick up an AOR? So this question comes up a lot. Let's just say there's a 1/1x date, and here it is, April 1st. You have a good meeting. Do you push now? Do you kind of prolong it? What should you do? First things first, before you pick a date to ask for the AOR or ask for it even. The reason I'm not a fan of asking for an AOR in the first meeting or trying to go down that path is because you need to know what policies they have, because there's a administrative side to things too, right? Your client might want to fire their person, but if you don't have access to that carrier, there's nothing you can do. And maybe that carrier is the best priced carrier. True story for me personally, there was 2 deals this year, just this past month. Each was about, a total of about 40K. I had to walk away from because I didn't have the market, right? And I ended up going through the quoting process on one of them, got an indication on the other. We just couldn't compete. They were in a really, really good spot with a great market, even though they wanted to fire their agent, right? So, of course, it's frustrating, but I would have looked really foolish if I said, yeah, give us the AORs, get the AOR signed, and then you find out you don't even have the market. The other administrative thing you need to really check on first is that market you want an AOR. Do they even honor midterms? Do they honor AORs at all? Do they only let you only honor them 90 days out from renewal, right? Those are things that you need to know before you ask, because you don't want to look foolish, and then your client could get pissed when they sign an AOR. Their agent gets notified, and they're like, wait, we didn't mean to sign that now. So you just want to have all those things buttoned up before you just ask for an AOR and kind of walk away with egg on your face. But let's assume that the AOR, the carriers they're with honor AORs right away. You guys have the markets. Then what should you do if you're 9, 10 months out, even 6, 7, 8 months out? My opinion is, and maybe you'll disagree, but I would get the AOR if you could. Yes, you take a risk. The risk is you could service it for that year, and they could still actually talk to a different agent and leave you at the next renewal. Hopefully they don't do that. Hopefully they understand they're making a change that's a serious change. You don't want to be just changing agents flippantly. So you're not, so there's a risk of that happening. But the reason I'm a fan of getting the AOR whenever you have the opportunity is because, one, you can start, your team has an opportunity to start servicing the account, getting to know them before the renewal and the marketing effort that you're going to do. But also things can change. A lot of things can just pop up that come unexpectedly. Some other agent calls on them, gets in their foot in the door. Their current agent, take some golfing. They have a great experience, and they start to second guess themselves. Maybe I shouldn't leave my agent now, or whatever. And so I just think it just takes away all those variables. So I'm a fan of getting the AOR whenever you can. The ideal time to, of course, get them is 120 to 90 days out, maybe 150, because then you're right before the renewal anyways, when you have to start doing all the work and the heavy lifting. And then your team's not servicing for free, but that's the ideal time. But sometimes that's the whole point of this conversation, right? Sometimes you're going to have non-ideal times and opportunities to maybe get AORs. So I hope you found that helpful. But that's it for this week, guys. If you have watched this and you found any value in it, again, do us a favor, give it a thumbs up. That helps spread the word. And congratulations, everyone that has subscribed. We now have 500 subscribers. That's huge. We're trying to get to 1,000 is our next goal. And just to keep helping growth-minded producers have more success, right? So thanks again for watching. Have a great week.